Hey everybody, welcome back to WineUpTV. I'm your host Wayne. On today's show we have Sean Boyd from Rotie Cellars. See you in a second. Hello everybody, welcome back to WineUpTV. Sean, thank you very much for opening your doors and telling everybody out there about your wine program. First, a little bit about you. I mean, how did you end up in Walla Walla, Washington?
I guess it was drinking wine and enjoying it, and wanted to get away from the oil and gas patch where I was. Had a wife and a kid on the way and realized if I was traveling 7 months out of the year, I wasn't going to be able to see my kids grow up. So I think I needed to change careers, and I knew I was probably drinking a glass of wine when I had that revelation. So I moved out to Walla Walla thinking I would study wine and whatnot, and kind of learned from two fantastic winemakers. One's Rich Funk at Savaya, the other's Jamie Brown at Waters, and just kind of worked my way up just by working in the cellar and learning from as many people as possible.
I think it's kind of cool. You know, I interviewed John Abbott at Beja a few weeks back, and he talked really highly of you, and that's a compliment. You know, because John's a rock star. I mean, most of you guys out here just, you know, make great wines. If you didn't, you wouldn't be here. You have a geology background. Tell us a little bit about the geology around here and how you perceive it and where you source your fruit.
Yeah, well, sourcing the fruit is the most important part of this process. It's you can't make great wine out of bad grapes, and then part of it becomes what you do with those fantastic grapes once you get them. And a lot of it, my style is more minimalist. It's really working the vineyard, figuring out where the best grapes are grown. For me, rocky soils. For me, older vines. And so in Washington State, it's almost cheating in a way. I don't know if you can do this anywhere else in the world. I can go and source from some fantastic vineyards, you know, some of the older vine Grenaches, some of the older vine Mourvedres, from 3 or 4 different vineyards within Washington State, and get to know, you know, their soils, and by going and walking them and seeing how old they are by how thick they are, and learning from the vineyard managers that are out there. And so in doing that, you're cherry picking some of the best sites. And you know, since the recession hit, it was more along the lines of big wineries focusing on their cores, and their cores are Cabs, Merlots. They're kind of staying away from Syrah, definitely away from Grenache, and away from Mourvedre. And so I've been able to step up the food chain to some of the best vineyards in Washington State, and so that's really helped this brand out. And so now I contract about twice as much fruit as I need for this brand, and I sell off to different wineries around Walla Walla, just the fruit itself. So I have control of those vineyards, and I sell at the same price that I buy it for. I don't make a profit because I don't want to piss off the vineyard managers, but I want to have control of that acreage.
Sure. You know, we were talking earlier about your passion of wine and how you kind of got started in wine. And it's interesting how our palates change. And you seem to have gravitated to the varietals that you like. And I think it's important, if you're going to make wine, you might as well make the wine that you like in the style that you like it. And how your palate's gone from the Zins to the Rhone varietals, and I'm a big fan of the Rhones. I love them. There's nothing I don't like about them. I just wish they planted more Grenache in Walla Walla. I think Syrah is great, but I think Grenache has a real potential.
Grenache is incredible. It doesn't grow well in Walla Walla, in my opinion. And so you need high heat indices for Grenache and Mourvedre. So what I always say is Walla Walla is fantastic for a lot of things. So you've got all your whites moving into your Merlots. Your Syrahs, I think, are probably some of the best in Washington State that are out of Walla Walla. Then you move into Cab, where it's a longer cycle. I feel like you get that right in Walla Walla probably 3 or 4 times in a decade. And then you've got Grenache, and then you've got Mourvedre even further out. And so because of that, you've got to find, it just doesn't get right like it should for me. So you can crop it back, you can have lower yields, and try, or you can do, tighter spacing and have one cluster per shoot. You can do that, but there's a couple different issues within Walla Walla. I don't know if you want to get into it, but you've got the cold. Grenache is a temperate varietal. It does not like cold air, and so we're talking like 5 degrees design will damage. It's like putting your hand into a deep freeze, and most, a lot of the cabs, merlots are much more. They won't damage at those colder temperatures. So we're talking about like they can get down to the -5s, and so when you go around, Grenache will be a hell of a lot more damage during the end of the frost cycle than anything else. But so I think and that's why I have to source Grenache from outside of Walla Walla.
Okay.
And so sourcing outside of Walla Walla is along the Columbia River for me is one of my favorite spots. I think Snipes Mountain is really coming up, and it all depends upon heat units and how rocky the terrain is.
All right. So first wine, what are we drinking here?
All right, this is our Southern White 2010. It's 50% Viognier, 30 Roussanne, and 20 Marsanne. The Viognier is from Walla Walla, and the Roussanne and Marsanne are from Horsehaven Hills.
Great nose on this wine. Nice color as well.
So this is a funny one. As it's young, or as it's cold, when it's super cold, and this is about 58. When it's really cold, it's a lot more tropical, and as it warms up, you get more of that Roussanne, the honeysuckle, and the anise from the Marsanne. You want a dump bucket?
I got to drive home. Other than that, I'd say no.
Fair enough. You should go and hit up a Bayhawk and hang out with your buddy.
Yeah, I'm going to come back and hang out with John.
Yeah, you should.
I've actually have some family members that are coming down from Seattle this weekend, and they wanted me to hook up, but I've got tours this weekend. I'm really busy. Building a brand, building a business isn't easy. If it was, everybody would be doing it.
Yeah.
And just like when you started your label, it was like a couple barrels and then bigger and bigger and bigger. Now you're at about 3,000 cases.
Yeah, 2010 will be a 3,000. We're at about 1,400 in 2009. It's in 2008, and then 2009, 14 again, and then 2010 we've ramped up with a lot more Grenache, a lot more Mourvedre in the cellar. The direction for us is definitely in the Grenache and the Mourvedre areas.
Nice, which is a nice niche market because everybody else making Cab around here. Everybody does Merlot and Syrah, but it's the Mourvedre and it's the Grenache, the Roussanne and Marsanne. Just those varietals. To me, I love them because they're so different.
Yeah, I wish they grew Grenache Blanc here, because that's one of my favorites, but I haven't yet to find it. So this is our Southern. This is about 68% Grenache, 16 Mourvedre, 16 Syrah. Primarily from Horsehaven Hills, a little further down the river from a small.
Horsehaven Hills is a huge AVA.
It is.
It's gargantuan. And, if you look at Red Mountain or something, they're really small. Horsehaven Hills is about, what, 500,000 acres?
It's huge, and it goes all the way down past on that river. And I just love that aspect of having that river. It's south-facing slope, huge relief. You go from 0 to, probably 1,100 feet very quickly. That slope really helps with keeping Grenache from getting too cold. You've got that incredible thermal layer from the actual river itself. Plus, you have that wind that just keeps, the gorge, the Columbia Gorge is one of the best windsurfing spots in the nation, and so you just constantly have that airflow, and so that's just a perfect combination for growing.
This is nice. 2009 was a pretty warm vintage, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And luckily, those areas are pretty safe from freezes, so we were picking some of our Grenache, Little G in particular, at November 3rd, when everything else was frozen out by, October 11th. Yeah, we were still hanging and growing.
Nice.
And it's nice finding those spots. So, yeah, this is primarily Horsehaven Hills.
It's got a great nose on it. Just burst of fruit.
Big fruit, juicy.
And I noticed your wines aren't overly alcoholic. I mean, the wine's 13.6. This is right around 14.
Yeah, what we're trying to do, and it's a different philosophy, we try and crop heavier at the beginning, get through the heat, and then crop back, do a first pick, and really kind of take off a lot of that super high alcoholic or super high bricks grapes and concentrate the fruit into the shoulders. In doing that, you kind of not only can you get kind of a fresh wine out of the stuff that's on the extremities of the vine, but then you concentrate the power and the freshness into the vine for the next 3 to 4 weeks. But you really kind of get through that heat point. I don't want to have wines here that are 15, 16% and then jam them on a bunch of oak, or worse than that, add water and then add tartaric to get them to balance out.
Sure.
That's just not what we're doing. This is all natural, no water additions, no tartaric. It's just what we get off the vine.
Yeah, which is great. Everybody has their own philosophies and their own ways of making things. It's very interesting, being your background with geology, and then figuring out how to grow grapes the best way possible, and to get rid of some of those overly sugared grapes and just to concentrate them down.
Yep.
Very interesting.
It's fun.
It is fun,
Yeah,
huh?
it's a constant learning curve.
Yeah, and then you have dealing with nature as nature wants to be.
It's nature, yeah. Well, that's half the battle, but that's half the fun as well. So this is our northern. So this is the dirtiest, earthiest Syrah I can make. Then it's about 5% Viognier in it, so co-fermented. So you get these really rocky characteristics, and then you have this. It kind of cuts with a little elegance of Viognier.
So this is Syrah with some Viognier?
Yeah, exactly. It's about 3 or 4 different blocks of Syrah. So my program is a lot different. I'm not focused on Walla Walla AVA Syrah. I'm not focused on Horse Heaven Hills as the best place, or focusing on that's where I want to make my wines or where my wines come from. It's more along the lines of what works the best out of barrel. And so we'll take, if I have 2 acres coming off of Peverbridge Syrah, I will take a third of that and do 2/3 whole cluster fermentation. I'll take a third of it and do 1/3 whole cluster fermentation. I'll take a third of it and have it completely virgin, so 100% yeast stem. And then I watch that progression as the 6 to 12 months go by, and see it in barrel. No racking's done. And then you really see the progression and the barrel variation. And then going by and getting all the barrels down for blending, you're looking for your favorite barrels. And just because you have a couple of favorite barrels doesn't necessarily mean it'll mix with your other favorite barrels, because you might have, more earthy components. You might have some that have gone totally, that you don't like the direction they've gone. And so you plop those in a crossflow filter, clean them up, and sell them on the bulk market. But you don't bring that back into your brand. So we could talk about it for a long time.
No, absolutely.
Those are kind of like the general direction. It's like figuring out what barrels you really like. And it doesn't matter if it's from Walla Walla or Horse Heaven Hills or Luke or Snipes or wherever. It's just you're trying to get that, you're trying to build that complexity within that wine. And by doing that, I think you're building it with some of your favorite barrels.
What's your philosophy on barrels? I mean, what do you like? French oak, American oak?
All French, and I've been buying like second and third fills out of California now for the past 2-3 years.
Okay.
So they love like having the brand new oak, and I love having the second fills. And so second and third fills are really where it's at for me. So you get
It's nice.
a little impartation, but
It's not over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not. You're not pushing the wines. You're just letting the fruit come out.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is great. I mean, this is a wonderful wine.
Oh,
It's kind of fun making great wine and sit around and drink with your friends, isn't it?
well, I think we should sit down and drink them then. Well, and this is little G. This one is a little fun one that we did for our wine club. And it was 100% Grenache. We only made 2 barrels out of it. And so this was really this was November. So 100% Grenache, looks like a Pinot.
It does look like a
It
Pinot.
was
Cool label, by the way.
still going since November. Still growing. So the crusher destemmer was put away, the press was put away, And so then we walked with 4.5 tons of Grenache and had to fire everything back up. And so, and this one just smells dirty. And it smells exactly like the site. It's amazing. You walk there and it's just all these huge basalt boulders that have been falling down into the river for thousands of years, and it's just got some topsoil on it and big ass boulders.
This nose is very interesting.
Yeah, it looks like a Pinot. You think you're going to drink a Pinot, and then all of a sudden it kind of opens up.
Grenache. I'm a fan of Grenache.
I love it.
A little spiciness to it.
Yeah.
So the retail on all these babies?
28, 40, and we just did that. That's more limited. It was 50.
All right.
Yeah. So we upped the price last year, just because we upped it from 30 to 25 and 35, and we just upped it because we're doing the same volume, but we have a lot more movement, and so we just we're not trying to be too cocky, but we're
sure. It's a balance.
There might be some attrition, and we're hoping there is some attrition because we don't want to be sold out until May 1st of next year.
Absolutely. And I love your little take on Rotie.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
It's a little cheeky, but it's kind of, more than anything, it's paying respects to the areas that I love.
Sure.
So I think their wines are fantastic. And it's fun traveling over there and talking to some of the winemakers over there and telling them what you're doing. And they at first they're like, wow, really? And then they think about it and they think, you guys have such freedoms over there. That's amazing. Because that's the one issue about making wine over there. It's got to be just, it's brutal in that. It's very romantic, but they've got a lot of rules and regulations.
Absolutely. I've heard about some horror stories about some of those rules.
So that's why I think a lot of fantastic French winemakers are coming over here and doing a great job.
Sure. They are doing a great job.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody says, oh, the French are moving in. Well, you know, they have
It's
a passion.
good.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
You know?
You can only learn so much from California.
All right, so you have a wine club?
Yeah, we do.
Excellent.
Yeah. Wine club, basically we did something fun for the first year. We did, basically whatever you sign up for, you get it for the same price for life. And so we're going to start tiering that. And so we have about 250 members or cases that go out on May 1st. And so everybody is locked in at, $35 or 25 for the whites. And it's really trying to help build that core that helps us through the years. So those people are more rewarded for, supporting us throughout the years.
Absolutely. It's like building a brand. It's building a label. And, everybody can have one, but how are you going to be different? What kind of wines are you going to make to separate yourself from the pack?
Right.
And that's the bottom line when it comes to all you guys. And the neat thing is the camaraderie you have. I mean, if you had a problem, like you said, you can call up John and say, dude, I need help me.
Yeah, it's nice to have some of the best winemakers in the world right here. I think John's one of them.
Oh, I do too. Just all you guys that I've had the blessings of being able to interview, you all have a lot of respect for each other. And that's the whole key. There's no animosity. There's no all this stuff. Y'all make wine. Y'all have to sell at the end of the day. But then you can all get together and try each other's wines and talk about them. And
there's some animosity, but
it's
not with the good ones. Yeah,
absolutely.
There's a good core out here, that's for sure.
Absolutely. And I look forward to coming back. Well, hey, man.
My pleasure.
Thank you very much for taking the time. Guys, when we come back, we're going to hit another winemaker somewhere else. Stay tuned.